I never imagined the familiar scent of sea salt would guide me towards such a chilling revelation. The Pacific's salty breeze had always been my sanctuary, as constant as the waves pounding against the rocky outcrops of Cannon Beach. Here in our small Oregon coastal town, I crafted a life around its soothing predictability. My daily rhythm consisted of the ocean's roar, my faithful dog Milo barking at swooping seagulls, and the gentle tapping of my keyboard as I crafted my latest mystery novel. It was my perfect little world, uncomplicated, secure, until that fateful morning changed everything. Let me set the scene. Dawn is just breaking, with misty tendrils still embracing the coastline like a soft gray shawl. I'm taking Milo for his morning walk, my footsteps leaving deep impressions in the wet sand. The air is heavy with the scent of kelp and brine, and I'm deep in thought, working out a plot twist for my current manuscript. Perhaps a murderer hiding in plain sight. Something unexpected. Then I hear it. Julian, my husband, speaking in that velvet voice of his, floating across the sand dunes. He's on his phone, moving back and forth near some weathered driftwood, believing I'm out of earshot. But the morning breeze carries his words clearly. Something about arranging a meeting, his tone dripping with warmth and intimacy. A voice I haven't heard him use with me in what feels like forever. My insides clench painfully. I freeze in place, while Milo pulls against his leash, unaware of my growing unease. Julian turns, notices me, and his expression transforms. That captivating smile appears, the same one that won me over when we first met. He hastily ends his call, tucks away his phone, and makes his way over. I casually inquire about his conversation, try to maintain an air of nonchalance. Just business, he claims. A client discussing a photography assignment. Given his profession as a photographer, constantly traveling to capture images for prestigious travel magazines, it's a plausible explanation. But something in his gaze seems off. There's a fleeting moment where his eyes assess me, gauging whether I'm convinced. I appear to accept his explanation. We walk home together, Milo bouncing between us, while Julian fills the awkward silence with idle chatter about the surf and weather conditions. But my thoughts are churning. That intimate, secretive tone echoes in my mind. Who was really on the other end of that call? And why does it feel like my heart is being slowly crushed? I've always had complete faith in him. Throughout countless late nights and extended trips across the Northwest, my trust never wavered, not even slightly. But now, uncertainty has crept in. Before I delve deeper into this unsettling narrative, I'd like to pause briefly. I'm curious, where are you reading this from? Perhaps you're nestled in a cozy Seattle cafe, or relaxing beside a serene Michigan lake. Feel free to share your location in the comments. And if you're already invested in this story, consider subscribing to follow along. You'll want to stay tuned for what unfolds next. Back at our rustic beach house, perched above the shoreline, I try to regain my composure. The windows are flung wide, inviting in the familiar salty breeze that usually brings comfort. Julian moves about the kitchen, humming casually as if everything is normal. I should be writing, but my fingers remain suspended above my keyboard, paralyzed. That phone call consumes my thoughts. Was it truly work-related? Or something more sinister? Someone else? I craft stories about deception and betrayal in my mystery novels, but never imagined I'd be living one. Milo's gentle snoring at my feet provides the only anchor to reality. I tell myself I'm being paranoid. After all, isn't imagination my stock in trade? Perhaps I'm fabricating drama where none exists. Then my eyes land on it. Julian's phone, innocently resting on the kitchen counter. He's showering now. I can hear the water running, steam seeping beneath the bathroom door. The temptation to check it is overwhelming. My pulse races like I'm the one harboring secrets. I reach toward it, then withdraw. What consequences await either discovery? Before I can decide, Milo's sharp bark startles me back to the present. Julian calls out, checking if everything's all right. I respond that it's just the dog, my voice betraying my tension. He doesn't pursue it, but the nagging suspicion persists, like an itch I can't reach. That morning's beach encounter altered everything irrevocably. Though I lacked concrete evidence, had no name or face to attach to my suspicions, I had that intimate tone in my ears, that subtle shift in his expression. And instinctively, I understood my carefully constructed world with Julian was beginning to fracture. The salty air no longer offered solace. Instead, it carried an ominous warning. So there I stood, teetering on the precipice of an unnamed revelation, the morning's briny breeze still dancing in my thoughts. That beach conversation had unlocked a door I desperately wanted to keep sealed, yet my mind couldn't stop retracing the path that led me here. Julian and me. Our shared journey. It's remarkable how you can construct something seemingly unshakable, one careful step at a time, only to miss the growing cracks until they threaten to swallow everything whole. I suppose I should rewind the clock, take you back to our beginnings, so you can truly grasp the magnitude of what's crumbling now. I first encountered Julian at a Portland book fair, one of those vibrant gatherings where paper and espresso scents mingle in the air. I was there autographing copies of my debut mystery novel, a modest paperback that had somehow garnered a dedicated following. He was capturing moments for a travel publication, navigating the crowds with his trusty camera as his constant companion. I still remember catching sight of him from across the room, his tousled chestnut hair catching the light, those emerald eyes surveying everything as if composing the perfect frame. Then his lens found me. "Mind if I capture the author in her element?" He asked with a smile. I chuckled, suggesting he purchase a book first. He did exactly that, and we lost track of time conversing by my table, the surrounding bustle fading into insignificance. That marked our beginning. He reached out days later, suggesting drinks at an intimate spot in the Pearl District. My acceptance led to countless meetings whenever possible. We'd wander along the Willamette River's edge, share heaping plates of fries at local food carts, and watch Portland's skyline twinkle from the East Bank Esplanade. He'd share tales of his latest photography adventures, his passion for capturing the perfect sunset, while I'd enthusiastically discuss my fictional world of detectives and criminals. We complemented each other perfectly, like two elusive puzzle pieces finally united. I found myself captivated by his effortless charm, the way he'd cock his head and smile when I'd get excited about my latest plot developments. 2 years later, we exchanged vows on the windswept shores of Cannon Beach, with Haystack Rock standing sentinel in the background. My dress danced in the coastal breeze while Julian wrestled with his rebellious tie, both of us dissolving into fits of laughter at the scene. Our intimate ceremony, witnessed by a close circle of friends and the rhythmic applause of waves, felt perfectly us. We found our home in a charming wooden cottage perched on the bluff, where weathered floorboards creaked beneath our feet and expansive windows invited the ocean's presence into every corner. I carved out my creative sanctuary in one nook, surrounding myself with towering stacks of notebooks and struggling houseplants that repeatedly tested my nurturing abilities. Julian transformed the extra room into his photography haven, spending countless hours in the darkroom where chemical scents wafted through our space. Our evenings were filled with culinary experiments, playfully jostling in our compact kitchen, engaging in spirited debates about whether garlic or paprika deserved the crown in our latest stew. Life felt complete, brimming with contentment. The topic of children emerged naturally as we settled into our rhythm. I'd often envision a little one racing along the shoreline with Milo, their laughter harmonizing with seabird calls. Julian would smile softly, imagining either a tiny photographer in training or a budding storyteller. We agreed to wait until my next book contract materialized, providing us with financial security. Then, a few months ago, he broached the subject again, expressing his readiness to start our family. I discontinued my birth control, and each night held the weight of possibility. We'd cuddle close, exchanging whispered suggestions for names. He'd propose Sage for a daughter, and I'd counter with Clara, claiming his choice was too bohemian. Our shared laughter would carry me into dreams of what seemed an unshakable future. Now, as that phone call reverberates through my consciousness, I question the authenticity of it all. While he spoke of our future family, was his heart already wandering elsewhere? The image of him on the beach, hastily concealing his phone like it held dangerous secrets, haunts me. A persistent ache has taken residence in my chest, sharp and empty. I constructed my entire existence around our partnership, and now I'm left sorting through the remnants, attempting to pinpoint the moment everything began unraveling. Had I been too immersed in crafting fictional tales of betrayal to notice the real deception unfolding in my own story. I shut my eyes, and the ocean's rhythm grows more intense, more demanding. Once it was our personal melody, an endless symphony that bound us to this coastal haven. Now it mocks me, highlighting my foolishness. I gave him everything, my deepest emotions, my tomorrows. Promises, that cherished fantasy of a child inheriting his gaze and my determination. And the result? Here I stand, solitary in what we called home, tormented by thoughts of whom he's charming in secret. Though answers elude me, one reality crystallizes. The existence we crafted, the one I believed was uniquely ours, is dissolving like grains of sand through my grasp. And I'm struggling to maintain my composure. That deep-seated pain from yesterday evening persisted. It weighed heavily as I lingered in our cozy kitchen, where ocean whispers filtered through the slightly open window. Julian had risen earlier, preparing pancakes as if everything remained unchanged, the cooking sounds blending with Milo's gentle begging for leftovers. I observed his movements, his casual demeanor, and quiet humming, as though that mysterious beach conversation was merely my imagination. The urge to confront him, to demand truth across our morning meal, overwhelmed me, but words failed. Instead, I manufactured a grin, poured coffee, and mentioned needing fresh air. He simply agreed, suggested taking Milo, and resumed his melodic whistling. Escape became imperative before my composure crumbled. The shoreline extended endlessly in gray monotony as I wandered with Milo pulling ahead. Each footfall disturbed the sand while my thoughts raced faster than the incoming tide. That phone conversation replayed endlessly, Julian's confident tone making promises of future meetings. Who received those assurances? A professional contact, as claimed? Or it was something more concerning? The memory of his hasty phone concealment haunted me, his furtive glances reminiscent of discovered mischief. Years invested in believing him, constructing our world upon that foundation, now felt as unstable as shifting dunes beneath me. I crave concrete evidence, something tangible beyond this consuming suspicion that was slowly destroying my peace. Back at the house, Julian had departed for a photo shoot, as he'd mentioned. Perfect timing. I shifted into detective mode, channeling one of my mystery novel protagonists pursuing a vital clue. His laptop beckoned from the coffee table, its dark screen an irresistible temptation. With trembling fingers, I opened it and entered his password, our anniversary date. It worked, triggering a momentary wave of shame. Was I really investigating my own husband? But then I recalled that secretive phone conversation, and my guilt evaporated. I combed through his emails, finding only mundane work correspondence about lighting setups and project deadlines. Nothing suspicious. His browser history revealed photography forums, camera lens reviews, and a clam chowder recipe. Too pristine. Suspiciously pristine. Even the trash folder yielded nothing. Either he was completely innocent or expertly covering his tracks. I collapsed onto the couch as Milo's wet nose nudged my hand sympathetically. My pulse raced, now from sheer frustration rather than anxiety. I needed concrete proof, something definitive I could point to and say, this is why my trust is shattered. Then my phone vibrated. Julian's cheerful voice came through the speaker. "Hey babe," he announced, "just got a last-minute invitation to a magazine event at Timberline Lodge tomorrow evening. You should join, meet everyone." I stiffened. Timberline, that magnificent ski resort on Mount Hood, with its rustic wooden beams and crackling fireplaces. A gathering with his professional circle. My thoughts whirled. Could this be an opportunity to observe him unguarded? Identify who held his attention? "Sure," I replied, "sounds great." He chuckled, suggesting I wear his favorite red dress. After hanging up, I stared blankly at the wall, the pain in my chest intensifying. Sleep proved elusive that night. Julian's rhythmic snoring beside me felt like a taunt in our suddenly vast bed. My mind kept circling back to potential consequences if my suspicions proved correct. Divorce materialized as a cold reality. We have to divide the house, but could we sell in this market? Otherwise, I'd face an impossible mortgage alone, my credit plummeting alongside my declining book sales. And Milo, though likely to stay with me. What if Julian contested custody, losing my beloved goofball after everything seemed unbearable? Then there's my writing career. With looming deadlines, I'm already struggling to compose coherent sentences. If everything imploded, I'd be gathering the fragments while he pursued his next adventure unencumbered. Dawn broke, and I found myself mechanically moving through the kitchen. Julian bustled around, organizing his photography equipment, discussing the upcoming event with casual nonchalance. I feigned indifference while inquiring about the guest list. The regular crowd? He responded breezily. Nora from editing, some writers, the photography team. Nora. The name struck me like lightning. Our soul encounter flashed through my mind, her sculpted features and razor-sharp wit, commanding the magazine's helm with regal authority. Could she be the one? I maintained my composure, sipping coffee while expressing enthusiasm about seeing everyone. He flashed a smile, planted a kiss on my forehead, and departed. Standing alone in the kitchen, clutching my warm mug, my thoughts spiraled into an endless loop of possibilities. Was she his secret rendezvous? If I confronted him, would he spin another web of lies? Or was I destroying our relationship over baseless paranoia? The mug hit the counter with a sharp clatter that pierced the silence. Enough speculation. Tonight's gathering was my opportunity for answers. I'd observe their interactions, search for telltale signs. I'm a mystery writer. After all, time to apply those skills to my own life. Yet a nagging voice persisted. What if the truth proves unbearable? Pushing aside my doubts, I grabbed Milo's leash and returned to the beach, letting the crashing waves accompany my silent determination to uncover the truth, whatever it might be. The journey to Timberline Lodge felt like ascending into my own personal nightmare. The winding road cut through dense evergreens, while the atmosphere grew increasingly crisp with each elevation gain. Julian sat beside me, one hand steering, the other drumming against his knee. He chattered enthusiastically about the magazine's recent feature, but his words barely registered. My attention kept drifting to his phone in the console, its dark screen concealing potential secrets. I'd chosen his favorite red dress, the one that perfectly accentuated my curves, but tonight it felt less like protective armor and more like a performer's costume in a play I hadn't prepared for. We pulled into the lodge's parking lot, where the imposing timber structure stood sentinel against Mount Hood's snow-draped slopes. The interior buzzed with life. Warm light cascaded from ornate chandeliers. Flames danced in a towering stone fireplace, and conversations echoed off rich wood-paneled walls. Julian gave my hand a reassuring squeeze, promising I'd adore the place, before guiding me into the gathering. I manufactured a smile, while my insides twisted with each forward step. This was the moment, my opportunity to witness the truth firsthand. My eyes swept the room, searching for her. Nora Kendrick, the undisputed sovereign of his professional realm. If she matched the voice from that beach call, tonight would reveal all. She located us first. Nora glided over, her jet black hair gleaming, wearing a burgundy blazer that radiated authority. Her smile stretched wide, but her eyes remained glacial, assessing me like a manuscript she could simply delete. Serena, she purred, I'm delighted you joined us. Julian mentions you constantly. Her tone carried a subtle challenge, daring me to accept her words as truth. He chuckled, his fingers grazing her arm as he said, Nora's embellishing, as always. I noticed everything, that fleeting touch, how her shoulder lingered against him a moment too long. My chest constricted, but I maintained my composure. Wonderful to finally meet you, I replied, my voice deliberately neutral. She smirked, sipped her wine, and drifted away to greet others, leaving an expensive perfume trail behind. Julian steered me toward the bar, offering to fetch drinks. That's when I spotted him, a tall, slender young man, barely 20, threading through the crowd with appetizers. He shared Nora's distinct cheekbones but possessed gentler eyes, warm and chocolate brown, topped by unruly curls. He paused before me, beaming, and announced, Hi, you must be Serena, I'm Theo, Nora's son. Before I could reply, he enveloped me in an unexpected, enthusiastic embrace. Initially startled, I gradually relaxed as he stepped back, still radiating warmth. I hear you're a writer, he continued. Mom's always praising your books. I stared, puzzled. Praising? That contradicted her frosty demeanor. Thanks, I managed, studying his expression. He nodded cheerfully before darting off to distribute more appetizers. leaving me thoroughly bewildered. Julian appeared with a glass of Pinot, checking if I was all right. I nodded while taking a sip, using the glass to mask my inner turmoil. The easy rapport between Nora and him spoke volumes without words. And Theo's unexpected warmth puzzled me. That hug felt too sincere for this sophisticated gathering. I observed Julian navigating the room, sharing laughs with photographers and toasting with writers. But his gaze kept returning to Nora. She commanded attention by the fireplace now, her laughter piercing through the ambient noise. My grip tightened on the wine glass. Though I yearned to confront them, I had only suspicions, no concrete evidence. I needed more to go on. Nora beckoned Julian over with a wave. He assured me it was merely business talk before heading her way, his steps notably eager, her smile knowing. My heart pounded as anger and anxiety churned inside me. Seeking respite, I retreated to a window overlooking the snow-covered mountains. I pressed my palm against the cool glass, finding momentary solace. Theo materialized beside me, leaning casually against the wall. "You've got that murderous look about you," he joked with a grin. I forced amusement, attributing it to my writer's imagination always conjuring dark scenarios. His head tilted, his perceptive gaze suggesting he saw through my facade. "These work-related parties are Mom's specialty," he mentioned casually. I tensed. Work-related? Could that be code for clandestine meetings? When I inquired about his attendance at these gatherings, he offered a non-committal shrug before drifting away, leaving me drowning in questions. I remained rooted, the party swirling around me while the fireplace crackled distantly. Julian and Nora remained in close conversation, their heads nearly touching as her hand grazed his sleeve. My thoughts raced wildly. This wasn't mere speculation anymore. The evidence was unfolding before my eyes. Nausea and betrayal washed over me, but I also felt strangely awakened, as if emerging from a long sleepwalk through my own life. Theo's words resonated. Parties, work stuff. Was this their cover story? His friendly demeanor and that hug remained mysterious, but one thing crystallized. I wouldn't leave this lodge without uncovering the truth, regardless of the emotional cost. The Timberline Lodge celebration continued around me, glasses clinking and artificial laughter filling the air, but I had gone deaf to it all. My attention was completely captured by Julian and Nora, still huddled intimately by the fireplace, their heads drawn together as if sharing confidences meant for no other ears. My insides twisted with a volatile mixture of rage and something more acute, something that felt distinctly like dread. I'd arrived seeking clarity, but observing them now only submerged me deeper in uncertainty. I desperately needed breathing room, space to process. I moved away from my window post, threading through the party guests, until I discovered a secluded nook at the lodge's rear. There sat a leather armchair, nestled beside a bookcase filled with vintage mountaineering guides, barely touched by the fireplace's glow. I collapsed into it, the cool leather beneath me providing an anchor as I struggled to calm my racing thoughts. My solitude proved brief. The sound of approaching footsteps drew my gaze upward to find Theo Kendrick materializing before me, his tall frame settling into the chair opposite mine. He clutched a beer bottle, a knowing smirk playing across his features. "There you are," he said, as though we'd been engaged in a game of hide and seek. I attempted a feeble smile, explaining I needed respite from the party's chaos. He acknowledged this with a nod, sipped his beer, then leaned in closer, resting his arms on his knees. "You've got that look of someone who's not here to celebrate," he observed, his tone hushed, unervingly perceptive. I felt my defenses rise. What was he implying? Was he probing, or had he detected something I couldn't conceal? I deflected with a casual shrug, blaming fatigue, hoping he'd abandon the subject. But Theo persisted, cocking his head, his warm brown eyes scrutinizing me. "I understand," he continued. "These events can be overwhelming, particularly when you're watching someone you love behave like a stranger." My breath halted. Could he know? I examined him closely, the rhythmic tapping of his fingers on the bottle, the shadow lurking behind his smile. Before I could probe further, he continued. "Mom's been acting strange lately," he revealed, sneaking around, taking secretive phone calls. Does that sound familiar? My heart hammered violently. Familiar was an understatement. I leaned closer, whispering, asking him to elaborate. He surveyed the room cautiously, ensuring privacy, before delivering his devastating revelation. I believe she's involved with someone, he confided, a colleague. I've spotted her with your husband several times, working late, looking far too intimate for professional interaction. I felt paralyzed, the air suddenly dense and suffocating. He just verbalized my worst fears, laying them bare with brutal honesty. I managed to croak out a question, asking how he discovered this. Theo reclined, his earlier smirk dissolving. He described catching them once outside her residence in Portland, unnoticed as he witnessed their intimate exchange, subtle touches, hushed conversations, unmistakable chemistry. He'd been connecting the dots since then. My thoughts spiraled, recalling Julian's furtive phone call, Nora's possessive gesture at the gathering. The pieces aligned perfectly, devastatingly so. When I questioned his motives for sharing this, he paused, taking another drink. His response was simple yet weighted. He'd grown weary of his mother's deceptions and found something genuinely refreshing about me. Unlike them, I seemed authentic. His words resonated deeply, offering stability amid my turmoil. Despite my guarded nature, his sincerity felt undeniable. Then he raised the stakes. We could uncover the truth ourselves, he suggested, just the two of us. I've got access to her office, her computer. If there's something they're concealing, we'll find it there. My heart raced. This was the opening I'd been searching for, a chance to expose what I'd suspected. But the risks were real. Breaking into her private space, snooping around. What if we were discovered? I imagined Julian's expression of betrayal, Nora's cold fury. Still, the alternative of remaining ignorant, letting them continue their deception, felt unbearable. I met Theo's unwavering gaze, waiting for my answer. Fine, I agreed, count me in. His face lit up with a mischievous gleam. Perfect, he replied. Let's meet tomorrow in downtown Portland. We'll expose everything. I agreed silently, gripping the chair tightly. The party's sounds filtered back, a distant buzz, but it seemed unimportant now. Julian and Nora were somewhere out there, confident in their secrecy, thinking they'd succeeded. But I had an ally now. Theo, this relative stranger, had just offered me the means to shatter their deception. The pain in my chest remained, but it had transformed into determination. Rising, I'd adjusted my dress and rejoined the party, my thoughts racing with possibilities. Whatever we discovered would alter everything. I knew with certainty there was no going back. The following day, Portland's persistent rain dampened my coat as I waited outside Nora's workplace, a modern glass structure piercing the overcast sky. Theo was running behind, and anxiety gnawed at me, each passing vehicle spraying uncertainty in its wake. Had he changed his mind? Was this an elaborate trap? I clutched Milo's leash tighter, finding comfort in his enthusiastic tail wagging. Then I spotted him, running through the rain, his hoodie wet, wearing that characteristic sly smile. My bad, he whispered, almost got caught grabbing the keys. My stomach churned. This was happening. He opened a side entrance, and we entered silently, our footsteps lost in the building's quiet hum. The elevator's ascent to the 10th floor seemed interminable, tension hanging heavy in the air. Nora's workspace was all modern minimalism, a sleek glass desk, walls adorned with pristine magazine covers, and a panoramic view of the Willamette River churning beneath brooding clouds. Theo gestured toward her computer, its screen displaying her smug face as a screensaver, mocking our presence. He settled into the chair, fingers dancing across the keyboard, while I stood sentinel by the door, pulse racing. Got something? He murmured softly. I rushed over, examining the display. Messages. Countless exchanges hidden in a folder marked expenses. Julian's name appeared repeatedly in subject lines. Intimate messages interwoven with schemes. Seattle next week. Meet me there, one message revealed. His response read, once we wrap this project, we'll be free. Free. The word struck me like lightning. Free from our marriage. I reeled backward, the office spinning. Theo continued searching, uncovering images, grainy snapshots from a hotel lounge, showing her fingers splayed across his chest, his mouth close to her ear. My legs nearly gave way, but the desk provided support as fury overshadowed my pain. This wasn't mere infidelity. They were orchestrating their escape, waiting for his photography project to conclude before disappearing together. Theo's expression hardened. There's more, he revealed. They've been embezzling magazine money into a shared account. That explains the overtime. I gazed at him, comprehension dawning. Beyond betrayal lay criminal intent. My hands trembled, but my words remained firm. We end this, I declared. Tonight. We devised our strategy quickly. The magazine's launch celebration approached, back at Timberline Lodge, where Nora would present Julian's featured work. Theo had copied everything: emails, photographs, financial records onto a flash drive. I'd attend in my red dress, playing the devoted spouse one final time. The journey back passed in a haze of anticipation. At the venue, crowds mingled amidst excited conversation and flowing champagne. Julian beckoned me over, flashing that once-beloved smile. Nora stood nearby, stunning in black, unaware of impending chaos. I returned their greeting with an icy smile and waited. The climactic moment arrived as Nora stepped onto the stage, microphone gripped tightly, extolling Julian's artistic brilliance. I caught Theo's eye near the sound booth and gave a subtle nod. He inserted the drive, and suddenly her voice vanished, replaced by their recorded conversations, intimate whispers from those damning emails echoing through the room. I can't wait to leave her behind. Julian's voice resonated, crystal clear. Shocked gasps rippled through the audience. Nora stood paralyzed, color draining from her face. Julian desperately lunged toward the booth, but the damage was done. The screen behind her blazed with evidence: hotel rendezvous photos, incriminating bank statements, their entire sordid scheme exposed. The crowd erupted in chaos, phones raised to capture the unfolding drama. Nora's superior stormed onto the stage, terminating her employment instantly. Julian fled, shouldering through the stunned guests, leaving me standing alone, my red dress a beacon amid the pandemonium. By daybreak, he had vanished, returning briefly to Cannon Beach to collect his belongings before disappearing from my life forever. Nora's career lay in ruins, her reputation destroyed, facing legal action from the magazine for every dollar she'd embezzled. Theo remained in Portland, pursuing investigative journalism, perhaps seeking redemption for his mother's transgressions. I kept our home, Milo, and my writing career. Yet everything felt different. The ocean's constant rhythm outside my window no longer brought peace. Instead, it reminded me how deception runs deep, surging unexpectedly like violent waves. In retrospect, their betrayal cost them everything: influence, dignity, and their futures. For me, the price was trust, something not easily regained, but taught me a valuable lesson. Truth, though harsh and unforgiving, provides the only solid foundation for recovery. I'd been naive, constructing my life around others' empty promises. Now I build on my own terms, and that's more than enough. Our story concludes here. Did this ending meet your expectations, or did it surprise you? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this journey, please like and subscribe for more stories. Thank you for joining me, and until our next adventure,